What's up, 2K gang? It's your boy Ronnie 2K. Welcome to 2K Now. I'm so excited about our next guest. He's a very good friend of mine, and he has one of the most fascinating stories in sports and fashion. So let me introduce my good friend, the one and only, the iconic. I'm going to come up with 17 adjectives. Jeff Hamilton. What's going
Thank
on, Jeff?
Just very, very happy to be here with you, and and excited. I've seen you the whole weekend for your beautiful wedding. Again, congratulations.
Oh,
That
thank
was.
you.
I'm so happy I was able to make it, and it was such a beautiful experience to meet you and your beautiful family.
Yeah, I mean, let's start there actually. Yeah, this is obviously pre-recorded. This is right 2 days after my wedding. But you talked about family. Tell me what your thoughts are on being surrounded by people that like really bring out the best of you.
It is a bit of sweet subject for me in a way because I moved to America when I was very young. I mean, I got married when I was 19 years old, which was uh,
Where were you from originally?
I was born in, I
For
was
those
born
that don't know.
in I'm Jewish,
Yep.
born in Morocco,
Yep.
raised in and left Morocco when I was 10 years old,
Hmm.
raised in France. Uh, very solid family. My parents were amazing, amazing brother, and then I just got married when I was 19. I mean, I was so ambitious and I wanted to eat the world. But my background was basically math and physics, and my dream was to become a CPA. I love numbers. That's all.
Wow.
I had no idea that was going to be in some kind of artistic kind of profession. And so I married when I was 19. When I was 24, I already had two kids. I had $6,000 put away, and I decided just to come to America. I, for the reason that
Sorry, you had the kids where?
in France,
In France.
in Paris,
Right.
yeah, that I just it was difficult for me to find myself surrounded with some of the family,
Yeah.
not necessarily my family, my parents. My parents were also very from a very humble upbringing. My in-laws were a different kind of lifestyles, and I felt like I didn't have any room for me to grow. So I really need to do something. I wanted to live my life,
It's
and
funny. Obviously, having been married 2 days ago, you met my wife's. I can't believe it. I just said my wife.
and
My wife's in-laws, right?
yeah, and
That is so important, right? Like they have to also. You heard Cece's dad's speech,
yes,
right?
yes.
Talk about hearing that because I think people
It's
would
just
appreciate.
like I try not to get emotional in certain ways,
There was not a dry eye in that room.
but it was just like you could see that. I mean, I don't know how he did not cry himself,
Yeah,
because the way he talked with so much love. I mean, every word that came out, there was love coming out, and you can see that the family unit between him and his wife and the three daughters, that they were so loving, and the way the sisters talk to each other, there's nothing but warmth and it just strengthens yourself. So it's a beautiful thing just to get into a family like that, because it and as well as you and your family. I mean, the way your parents and the way your father spoke, and it's just it was very, very uh, heartwarming.
yeah. We're getting a little off topic, but the reason I asked is because being put into a position where you have the right foundation and the right nurture, right? Like being able to surround yourself with people who are going to support you making such a transition. So, when did you make the choice to go from this choice for the CPA dream to this incredible thing that started with you with fashion?
I for me, like in reverse to what we were talking, I felt like I was not getting that opportunity with the family, so I really wanted to fly on my own. I mean, so I decided to come to America with, like I told you, $6,000, and I really had no idea what I was going to do. I mean, I had a dream. I kind of loved. I thought I was going to do something in denim. I love jeans, and I had a jeans store when I was 20 years old in Paris. Even though I was still going to school, but I still was doing all kind of different businesses, working 7 days a week. And I came to America, and I just basically was looking for a job, any kind of job. And I didn't work for 4 or 5 months actually. And then I started basically going from store to store.
And you said you had $6,000, so that must have been like
Yeah, that was
right up.
exactly 1980. I mean, I can tell you my rent was 675. I bought a Maverick for $800, all banged up, but amazing car, and we were living on
You were doing,
really
yeah, the
minimal,
means, yeah.
like minimal budget. I mean, but it was 1980, but still was not a lot of money. So and basically start going in the street. After once I start getting into the street and the door was open, I start buying from one store, selling to another store, and I start getting into the clothing business and kind of jobbing, mostly close out, and one thing led to the other. I ran into to a guy, one day in the elevator of the building where I was renting in downtown LA, and the guy was speaking French. Even though I didn't have a lot of money, but I was kind of doing okay. Even or once I started working, I was kind of doing okay.
Yeah.
My bills were paid. I mean, I always
And living day to day.
yeah, but no, I dressed well. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of like I didn't have a big lifestyle, but I
Yeah.
dressed well, and there was a certain look about what I was doing. And my friend, likewise, I mean, I started wearing like beautiful red cashmere sweater, red socks, so they
Looking
were
the part.
looking the part. And that guy happened to be George Marciano,
Oh,
and
wow.
him and I we start becoming
Wow.
friends.
Yeah.
And had not even started Guess Jeans yet. So he started Guess Jeans
I
like
mean, how crazy is that? You wanted to get into denim and you meet George
yeah.
Marciano.
And he was not in denim. He was in a
Yeah.
women's wear shirt business.
Wow.
So fast forward like a few months, he started Guess Jeans just only to sell to his own brother's stores. His brothers had a couple of jean stores, so he created jeans just to sell to them.
Yeah.
Of course, the whole thing Guess took off. The company is already like within the first year is doing already like $2 million. And at that time, I said, let me just try to get something stable. Let me just. You guys are not doing the menswear. Why don't you let me do the menswear? He said, why don't you come and work for us? I said, well, I'm really 20. At that time, I'm like 25, 26 years old. I said, I've never worked for anybody in my life. I'd rather, but I kind of like still knew the concept of licensing, which was not a very common
I mean,
concept.
did you always want to, like, start your own brand and do your own clothes? Like meaning, was it an entrepreneurial thing that you hadn't worked for anyone else before? Or
Yeah,
was
it was. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know that I was going to be a designer or own a
Sure.
clothing company. I just wanted to. I was so ambitious and I wanted to succeed by any means.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it was. I mean, if I had to be in the car wash business, I would have been. And if I had to be in anything, I had to
Yeah.
do. And so I turned them down, like for me to work for them to run the division, because I said, and that was a guaranteed salary at the time, was decent money.
Yeah.
And I knew the concept of licensing growing up in France, and I offered them a license to become the first licensee. And after a few months of negotiation, I became the first licensee of Guess Jeans ever. So I started the company at that time in January 15, 1983, with $22,000. Of course, I told them I had $80,000 just to let them feel that I had
You
more
gotta have the
money.
P&L.
Yeah. And I looked good at 80,000. I mean, and everything became magical from that one thing to the other. I mean, I had people help me design, but I didn't like what they were doing, so I went to my closet. I liked that jacket. I changed the jacket. I put a piece of leather here. I put a little different thing here. I just put some kind of different patches and decoration on it. And after 3 4 months, I was doing $20,000 a month in sales. After 8 months, I was doing 300,000. After a year, I was doing 700,000 a month.
Wow.
After 2 years, I was doing 5 million a month
Yeah.
in sales.
Yeah.
So, mind you, I don't have a green card.
Yeah. No, that's what I want to talk to you about.
I'm totally illegal.
Yeah.
I barely speak English,
Yeah.
and I'm basically running a business where by 1985 I had 400 people working for me.
Wow.
And everything was just, but the good and the bad. I mean, of course, I was highly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like not having the experience to manage a staff of that and scale your business to that degree. It wasn't some formal training that you had.
I had no training whatsoever, and also keep in mind. I mean, at that time, like I'm already 27 years old, and I'm I
Yeah, how are you dealing with the success that comes,
I,
all
I
that
was
money all of
not.
a sudden?
No, I'm just like my ego was just like, don't forget I'm a Leo, nine planets Leo on top of that. So
Yeah,
I think I'm like a mega billionaire here,
yeah.
making $5, $6 million
That
a
was gonna be
year,
there forever.
making 50 grand a week paycheck. I feel like it's going to be there forever. And, so I'm buying restaurants, I'm buying buildings, I'm opening retail stores, all kinds of different things. And I think I'm invincible.
Yeah, how do you not fall in love with the success to, and with especially with the level of ambition you're speaking of, to not try to think that you can be in every industry and just conquer every industry? That's what happened
You
to it.
really think so? You really think you're invincible? You want to just go, do everything, and just quickly you realize that, and you really basically the entitlement that you think that success comes from you. And I mean, at my age now, I'm 67. My I believe that my success doesn't come from me. If I have talent, it's not me. I mean, I really feel like I'm only from a spiritual way of speaking. I think I'm channeling whatever energies I'm
No,
giving,
but
and
I mean, you did work very hard, and
you know,
you did go out and make it with all the things against you. You know, the things you mentioned, not having a green card, not be, having language barriers, all of that, and that's like the real American dream. That's the real surprise.
it is, yeah.
Uh, That was the hard. You did the hard work.
Yeah,
You did the
and
hard
I
work.
always say, I mean, there's something that nobody can take away from you. I mean, and that's kind of like when people ask me for business advice, I say it's very simple. I mean, one thing that nobody can take away is to work hard.
Yeah,
Instead of
that's
working
right.
8 hours, work 14 hours.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to take that away from you. The second thing is just work smart.
yeah.
Don't try to be too greedy. Just go and try to walk rather than running all the time to from point A to point B. Number three, really try to find what is your real talent, what makes you happy, what makes you want to wake up in the morning and go to work to do it.
When
Whatever industries you might be in.
when did that become jackets though? Like when did that become?
Right after gas, after I finished with gas in 1986,
Yeah,
the natural evolution was for me just to go out and do
start your own clothing
Jeff
brand.
Hamilton
Yeah,
lifestyle brand, which I did,
yeah,
and I'm talking 1986. I mean, I have billboards in Times Square. I'm spending 100 grand a month in advertising in the GQs and magazine, and people start knowing the brand. But really, I'm not feeling it for some reason. And again, I'm a rich guy. My hair is long up to my shoulders. I'm riding Harleys. I'm here with Jimmy Kahn and Billy Idol
yeah.
and Guns N' Roses and all those guys and we're riding Harleys and I just want to. I want to feel the part. So I started designing jackets just for myself. And one thing lead to the other, and of course, you get into the sports, and we get into the rock and roll, and we get into the politics, and
Yeah.
and I started making jackets, and the only reason why my jackets were so expensive even then was because I didn't know how to produce them.
Yeah. Mass
So
scale. Yeah.
so I basically quoted ridiculous prices for people to come in and do it, but I gave them value.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no. Look, you can only sell something for as much as people will buy it
Yeah,
for, right?
exactly.
And that's a big lesson in business. When um when and how did the Michael Jordan door open? Since we are sitting right in front of a 23, right? Talk to me about like how that happened and what that moment led to.
My first opening in sports was when I had guests. I mean, I started becoming real good friend with all the Raiders and and I started getting some of the basketball players. Like my one of the first basketball players that I became friends with, Reggie Theus, and Reggie introduced me to Magic, and Magic introduced me to Michael.
Yeah.
And I always recall the story like I was in my office and and somebody gave me a message, to say, like, no, 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 my receptionist, we had receptionists at the time, and she told me, there's Michael Jordan on the phone. I said, "Oh, that's a
That's
joke. That's
so wild.
impossible."
Yeah.
And
Did I tell you about the first time I met not the first time I met Michael, but the first time I actually like spent time with. We had to put him in a couple commercials. He's been working with us for 12 years now, right? 2K11. But the first time I had a massive interaction with him was a celebrity game back in Charlotte. What, 5 years ago, I think. And it was my first game I had played in the celebrity. I played twice in a row, and I played the game. I went to the Jordan Brand party, and his sons Marcus and
Sure. And Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, who you know really well,
Hmm.
they come up to me and they're like, "Hey Ronnie, our dad wants to talk to you about your game in the celebrity game," and I'm like, "Your dad, Michael Jordan, wants to talk to me about basketball?" So it's probably the similar experience, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, this can't be real. Like what was,
No, it is. You know, I always tell people. I mean, I'm bragging, but I'm not bragging. I've met him maybe 100 times in
yeah,
my
yeah,
life,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But it's
But
still
that first time, and
it.
it's still like
I
yeah,
mean, the
iconic.
last time,
Yeah,
the
every
last
time.
time I met him, it's still surreal.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like you're like a 3-year-old girl in front of like a Mickey Mouse,
yeah,
Minnie Mouse. I
yeah,
mean, my heart is beating. I mean, up to this day, every
yeah.
time I get to see him or I talk to him, I mean, you feel like a baby, and it's just it's so iconic, and his aura
For
is
sure.
so tremendous. I
Yeah.
mean,
So talk to me about the impact of that moment because they obviously wore the jacket after the three-peat, and then it.
that was like way like 12 years later,
Yeah, yeah,
because I met him in 86,
yeah,
87.
yeah,
So so I made the first jacket for him in 1991,
yeah,
92, 93.
yeah,
Then but really there was not that much advertised as being in the locker room really in 96, 97, and
Well, it
98.
was
And
tougher then. I mean, there was no social media, so it was like, how do
right.
you connect that moment? He's just wearing a jacket, which is epic, obviously, but it's not. It's not connected to a Jeff Hamilton at the
Yeah, well,
time.
there was a People magazine and
Yeah,
USA Today,
yeah,
and but everybody knew it,
yeah,
everybody saw it, and
yeah.
it was kind of like everything went viral no matter what with that social
That's
media.
true.
I can only imagine in 1998
What that would have been,
or
right? Yeah,
97 during the 50 greatest players where everybody came out with my jackets of seeing what would happen with social media.
yeah,
So that was always that story is always one of my favorite stories. I went to Utah for the game. Actually, I'm in that picture. When you see
yeah,
that final shot,
yeah, yeah.
I'm right in that iconic
Oh, you're in
picture.
that frame. Well, I'll have
Yeah.
to look for you next time.
So
I wonder if you're in our game that way too. We should put you
yeah,
there.
we should.
In the Jordan moment, we should have Jeff Hamilton popping out in the crowd.
So I had arranged with his security and David Falk and all the people I got to make sure to tell them I had the championship jacket with me.
Yeah,
One of those the interesting thing is, and I'm very proud of that. Every single finals game that Michael ever played, I've been to every single one of them.
every single
Every
finals
single
game.
one of them. I went with him to Barcelona.
Wow,
I went with him to the McDonald Open in Paris. So
that's
I'm truly
amazing.
for me. I mean, it's just a blessing for me to be a basketball fan and being
Yeah,
part of
yeah. These
witnessing all those moments.
the historic moment. I mean, not just him. Obviously, Kobe was the other
Right.
humongous one.
Amazing. Yeah.
And so talk to me about that moment.
So that moment, like obviously the most iconic picture of in the NBA today became. I mean, I think the
Yeah,
old one
Kobe in
was
that jacket.
was Jordan and Brian Russell shot in
Yeah,
Utah, but I think Kobe's picture became the most iconic picture when we had the jacket. So. And I was talking to you about my dear friend Andy Bernstein, who took all those amazing, iconic pictures, and we didn't know where the trophy was. So we're looking all over for trophies. I said the best way to find out where the trophy is, let me follow Andy Bernstein, and I followed him, and we found Kobe. He was in the shower,
yeah,
and he was having a moment. It was
yeah,
like it was a very sad day
yeah,
for him
yeah,
at that time for personal reasons, and we were only four of us in that moment. It feels like it was just like it's been 20 years. I feel it feels like 21 years. It feels like yesterday.
yeah,
And it just was wearing the jacket with my logo, holding the trophy, and it was
yeah. It is
such a
one of the
beautiful
most
moment. Yeah.
iconic shots of all time, and obviously your jackets have been in a lot of those moments.
I cannot tell you how many people send me
Yeah,
tattoos of
of
them
that.
with that
Wow,
image on them.
that's insane. I have to ask you. We mentioned a lot of the early success, and then like some of the like it getting too big for you, and then the learnings from that. So talk about like that journey because uh, you were really viral and hot for a minute, and then for whatever reason you were not, and you had a lot of personal stuff too, which everybody goes through. That's the hard thing about being a known personality. It's like you still have a life to live. There's still
Right.
moments that really affect you. I think about like the mental health things that people deal with now. So talk about the journey down and then the journey to come back up. Because I think like for people watching this, I really want this thing to be a lesson about like business marketing and learning from mistakes and like being bigger and better. So
Yeah. People tell me what are the most important times in my life. I think in re- like I told you, I'm 67. For me, in retrospect, I mean the most rewarding moments, as I see it now, have been my dark times.
hmm
Because when you're in the dark, you have an ability to see very clear. You can see much clearer from being in the dark than being completely within
hmm
the flashlights. And so after I had all the success with the company, I sold the company. The company didn't want to pay. I was going through. A, I had a very nasty divorce with my first wife that lasted 19 years. Just simply wiped me out in legal fees. I don't even tell how much
yeah,
money I spent,
which by the way happens to many people.
and emotionally I was not strong enough just to deal with it,
Yeah,
so I went through a lot of personal depression, and I was not into drugs or anything like that, but it really for me was very difficult, and so I kind of decided to take a little hiatus, like in 2004, 2005. I sold the company in
you just kind of
2002. I mean,
had enough.
and 2005, I sold like 2 years, but I kept on living my lifestyle. I
Yeah,
mean, with my Bentleys and my Rolls Royces and all my beautiful homes, and quickly I realized, I want to keep living that lifestyle. I mean, it's just you need to generate
yeah.
income, and so I start trying to do different things, and I start getting it. And for some reason, I was kind of like turned off with the clothing business. I mean, because so many people hurt me in the business, and some people knocked
Who
me
are
off,
like
and some people
deemed.
taking credit, and
Yeah.
it's just bad stories. So I start getting into the arts. I'm an artist, so I have my own art gallery in Beverly Hills as well, and I do art. So I start getting involved in creating art shows and different things, and but I really didn't find happiness. And fast forward to when I met you, actually 2019, that was really you were one of the elements where that start clicking all the pieces together.
Hmm.
Suddenly, I don't realize. I mean, 2013, I open Instagram, and suddenly I don't realize. I don't know why, but I'm getting hundreds of thousands of followers right away, and things are just popping, and I'm getting like, and I'm not putting any new
But how
content.
powerful must have that have been? Because like all of a sudden you were being recognized, and when you might have thought you had been forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I just and I was not putting any new content. It was all the old content that I was putting in, and people were reading, telling me, and then all the hip hop world started really embracing me and reaching out to me, whether it was ASAP Rocky or Cameron or Jim Jones or Vado, and they'll start writing songs about me. They're mentioning me in the songs, and then I met you. Then you wanted to wear my jacket for one of the NBA 2K event, which you
Oh,
invited me, which was like I was blessed to be part of it, and like I said, I had meetings with ASAP, and then unfortunately, and in 2019 was a very difficult year for me because I had a really bad car accident. Unfortunately, I had broken up with my second wife after I was with her for decades, uh, and and I really just suddenly something clicked. And when Kobe died, suddenly now people were putting my name associated with the jacket, as sad of a moment that he was. And, there's no doubt that there is a blessing from him to me. Uh, and all that happened, and then suddenly there is the pandemic. But at that point, I'm on, and I'm still. I say I'm not giving up. I'm just coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back, and then all those different things that we start doing and one deal to the other, and then I approached the NBA during the pandemic.
well, so I'm glad you brought up the pandemic
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of people decided to just turn off, especially in the entertainment business and
hmm
the fashion business. And you, I was really impressed actually. You decided to take a pause, reassess how you were going to build an organization, and push the envelope. And what that told me about you was that you had learned from your first round. Like meaning the early days when everything was bigger and you had learned that you could scale in a better way for something that was very, very, catastrophic, but at the same time an opportunity. Like some of our great content creators, the people that figure out a way to monetize 2K and become YouTube content creators, all these young kids that are doing it, that was a really big moment for them too.
Right.
And so you
I,
saw
I,
it
I
that way.
saw the opportunity in a way that I said, everybody's going to be home. And they're going to wake up late. They're going to
Yeah.
do whatever they want to do. They're going to watch their MSNBC or Fox or whatever they. And why are they doing that? I'm going to be working. And whenever they wake up, I'll be 500 miles ahead. I happen to be a few thousand miles ahead when they woke up.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
and but I still was going. I had a small office. And there was nobody in the office, but I still went every morning at 7 a.m. in the office. I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing,
To credit discipline.
yeah, just to do paperwork, to do whatever, but just to make sure my mind was completely busy, and just and the last couple of years have been truly magical as far as just coming back. So the big hit was when the NBA was in a bubble. I approached I mean, I always had an amazing relationship with the NBA. So I went back to them. I said, why don't you give me back the contract? I mean, so arguably in the NBA, the
I
three
pushed
most.
you hard to do that. You remember?
Yes, but yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But the three most iconic players, and I'm not saying the three greatest players, but a lot of people might think so, are Michael, Kobe, and LeBron. I said how iconic would be for me to be in the locker room with Michael, to be in the locker room with Kobe, and then be with LeBron as well. And but there's a difference of LeBron being in LA than being in Miami or being
Yeah.
in Cleveland. That was a different thing, as far as iconic teams. And I got the contract back. Obviously, I was not with him in the locker room, though I was with him the day after he came back from Orlando.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he had my jacket, and then just like we opened a website, and just everything just went crazy, went on fire.
I want to ask you one last question about the rise back. Do you have any advice to people that like are facing hard times about how to bounce back?
Sure, I say just continue whatever you're doing. Don't stay the course. I mean, don't don't count yourself out. I mean, there is always things start turning. As long as you work hard, like I said, you work smart and you know what you're doing, and you keep.
The other thing that I think you did, Jeff, really, because I saw it myself, was manage relationships really well. Like not even just with me, but like with a lot of people. You could be like, this is I'm going to see this person. I'm going to make sure every time they're in town, I'm going to be with this person. I'm going to engage. I'm going to
That always has been
stay
my
in touch.
nature,
Yeah,
though. That
but
was
then a lot of
that
people
that,
forget
that
that.
has
That
that
that's
has been
something
my
that
nature.
doesn't have to go away.
That has been my nature because I mean, that has not. It's the way that's my
Yeah,
my character.
yeah,
But the main thing is never take anything for granted. That's something that you have to know when you go through the ups and downs, and never procrastinate.
yeah,
Never think that whatever you have today is going to be there tomorrow when you wake up.
yeah,
So just appreciate whatever you're doing, and try to always maximize your potential to whatever you can do, because it is truly a blessing to be able to make a living, and doing something that you're passionate about, and that you love, and it's a pleasure for me to wake up in the morning just to get to my office, whether I'm going to do paperwork or not. Or I mean, I wish I could just do design 12
That
hours a
would be
day.
nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's not. But I'm doing
No,
everything
but you got
else.
to build a business. So
But
you
you deal
have
with
to do
business, and
everything,
it's part of
things you don't
everything.
like.
It's part
Yeah,
of the whole
that's right.
idea. Yeah.
People always see the fun part about my job, but they don't see all the strategic, all the grind. I got married 2 days ago. I went on ESPN this morning. I'm here doing this podcast. I got another podcast tomorrow. I got to go to the Warriors game tomorrow. That all sounds fun. It's a grind, and you know that better than anyone.
It is.
Switching subjects, and then we can wrap up. I wanted to ask you about this being the young man's game, because obviously with the advent of social media and like seeing that transition, how important was it not just for things like making sure you have content, right, but also things like being in that video game. Talk to me about how important it was because you had to continue to connect with a generation that was younger and you know I wonder what your thoughts are
For
there.
me, obviously content is very important to have, but it's not a very calculated process in the way I run my business. One of the target that I have in my life is, and I realized, and I never realized because everything I did it with love and with passion. When I did a Kobe Bryant jacket or Michael jacket in the locker room, I never knew that those jackets were going to become iconic. Or when I did the 50 greatest or 75
Yeah,
greatest, the same way. Uh, it's just the fact that when the greatest compliment I get ever is when people come to me. I mean, in New York or in an airport, and somebody stops at me and said, Jeff Hamilton, thank you so much for what you've done for the culture, and I loved what I did. So for me, I really want to be involved in every single part of any cultural moment. Whether it's being in a video, whether it's my name being mentioned in a hip hop song or in a reggaeton song or being obviously in your video, it's a big accomplishment for me because it's one of the things that I discovered through all those trying times was that there's three things that count for me in my life today, as far as professional is concerned. Is like I said, you need to make a living, you need to make money, but it's a priority. But as long as you want to be comfortable, because I've always lived well, but you want to have basically your bills paid and make sure you're comfortable. Number two, repeating myself, is doing something that you're passionate about and that you want to do. You find whatever you calling. Number three is also that's something I just discovered only the last couple of years, which is again very pretentious, but very humbling at the same time, because it's legacy.
yeah,
So you think that you have a legacy, but on the other hand, it's you want to build something that you're not going to be able to possibly see.
yeah,
So, and my version of legacy is it's like planting seeds into a field without without the expectation to ever see the flowers fully bloom.
yeah,
So that's kind of where, and I love that. I love the fact that I might not be around in X number of years, but hopefully my jackets will stay
mm,
in a Hall of Fame or in a Grammy Museum, or they will be part of some iconic moments.
yeah. I feel that. It's funny because you're also talking about music videos being mentioned in music and being in the video game, right? Those are also things that are allow you to be immortal. You know what I mean? Like nobody's gonna take away that you were in this video game one day or that you were in a song one day. So I totally relate. I feel it's a legacy is about you know passing on to the next generations, but letting people remember you in the form of your art. And
Exactly.
people will never forget this guy. He is one of the most iconic names in fashion, and I'm so glad to call him a friend as well.
Likewise.
Jeff Hamilton, everyone. Hopefully, you guys heard his words and enjoyed this episode of 2K Now. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you, Aaron.